Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Robbie.
All right, morning, mate. I just quickly
Nice to
want
see
to
you
say,
back.
thank you. Yeah, I've been released. No, I just want to quickly say Happy Mother's Day to all those lovely mums out there, especially my own and my missus.
I agree. Now, let me tell you guys, a few years ago, no one went to see my mum. Not one person went through her door in almost 3 years. A text, a WhatsApp, or a phone call is not the same than paying your mother a visit. You know, you only get that one mum. So go out your way and go round to see them. And the people that you want to be with, you always spend time with the people that you want to be with. But don't forget, your mum ain't here forever. Right, let's go on. Charlie, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, and of course, special guest today. Met my friend Keith, who lives down in Australia. We finally got him on because we can't get the right times. And how are you, my friend, first of all?
Yeah, good. Very good. Yeah, I haven't been on for a long time, so it's nice to get sort of back seniors all again, I suppose.
Yeah, we're nice and gentle, Keith. I met Keith in a men's mental health group, and we both had some where we met some beautiful friends. But I've got to say, Keith was a fellow Amma, and it's quite strange. We ended up having a bloke who was a trainer over West Ham for almost 45 years, Jimmy, weren't it? What was his second name? Jimmy Frith, weren't it, Keith?
That's it, Jimmy Frith, yeah.
And yeah, he ended up being Keith's trainer at school, and we used to have him over. We played. I can't think the name of the school now. It's a girls' school just behind Watney Market, and we used to play there. And Jimmy used to come round and never had the He was a real nice guy, and someone at a club who doesn't get, the adulation that they should get being there all their life. Before we go on, Keith, Robbie informed me yesterday that West Ham have reduced the price for the Leeds fans to £15 a ticket for the FA Cup game coming up, which I think is fantastic. They've got an allocation of 9,000 fans, which I've been told they're taking. Some of the fans have basically come out and says, like, if they beat us, they'd rather spend their money going to Wembley than going to the Solus Bowl, as everyone seems to be calling it now. But Keith, why West Ham originally? Let's start with you.
I was born in East Ham, so, mile away from the ground. It was one of them things. I know we sort of spoke about it before, but you could hear the crowd from my back garden. So ever since I was a kid, it was always that, background noise and where did that come from, etc. And also my dad, he was a football secretary at a club called Fairbairn House, which was from Plaistow, and they had, in the past, they'd had ex-West Ham players there. One of the managers of the teams that played over his sports ground in a Billingsgate Fish Market, they used to play there, and Harry Redknapp used to come over and watch them. So there was quite a few sort of odd personalities. And as you say about Jimmy Frith, he trained us. And who was the other guy?
Sorry, boys. Yeah, I've got to be honest, Keith. We help James on his channel now and again. And I went on there about 6-7 weeks ago, and I was the only one was going, be positive. There is a chance, right? We know there is a chance. Supposedly, we had one of the best teams ever, 2002, 2003, that went down. And then we all know about the Carlos Tevez years in 2007, where we did the Great Escape. If we manage to stay up, we're going to talk about the City game in a minute, because it was like the Alamo, you know what I mean? It was Custer's last stand yesterday. Somehow they did it. Did you really believe 4 or 5 weeks ago they could stay up, Keith? And do you think they will?
In my head, I didn't think they could stay up. Like a lot of West Ham fans, you want them to stay up. At the moment, I would say same sort of thing, really. I'm not 100% sure they will. I think there's a lot of tough games to come, a lot easier than the Man City game, but then I think that just depends. Like if you go into a game thinking that it's going to be fairly easy, at least West Ham went into that game last night knowing how hard it was going to be. But you can't take any game for granted. So yeah, maybe if we went 4 points clear or something, I'd feel a little bit better.
Charlie, did you see the game yesterday?
I saw bits of it, yeah. I think, like you say, at one point it was Yeah, it was like the Alamo, wasn't it? But look, whether you're going for the league or whether it's a relegation battle, sometimes a game finishes and you're like, "Cool, we got out of jail there," and sometimes you're like, "We should have got more out of it." But no, look, it was a great point for West Ham. It really was. It put some level now on Tottenham. I think I look at West Ham's running and it doesn't seem too bad. I know there's no easy game in the Prem. I think the one downside is your goal difference. You're currently on -19 and Tottenham are on -7.
Yeah, I agree. Robbie, now you've got to talk about this West Ham, whether they stay up or not, without mentioning the S word.
I tell you what, I didn't watch the game yesterday. You knew before it was going to be incredibly difficult, but you know what? That's football. Maybe the manager there, remember, he took Forest almost to the Champions League last year, and then they're back fighting relegation. So maybe I don't know, the players are believing in his system or he's getting his point across. I don't know what his training is. It's still going to be a tough ask because he came in halfway through the season. But you know what? I hope they do stay up because there is another team I'd prefer to go down.
Yeah. Guys, I want to take you back, Keith, to the appointment after Moyes. The media wanted West Ham to fail, and they still would love it if West Ham fails. They say, be careful what you wish for. And Lopetegui come in because I want to carry this on because this man management style that Robbie's just spoke about will lead us on to what we talk about after West Ham. Now, when Julian Lopetegui come in, he was a disciplinarian, bit like Moyes, but he actually had 4 physical altercations with 4 players, like almost fist fights. There was fist flu, and Bowen had to try and be the peacemaker. The dressing room got split, and there was literally no camaraderie. Right from that point onwards, he was a dead man. I said that we should have got rid of Alvarez. I says we should have got rid of Kudus because you either get rid of the player or you get rid of the manager straight away. So that split the dressing room. Graham Potter come in. I mean, people don't realise the circumstances, and he should never have signed his contract, what he come into. And he had no chance. And the team itself, Bowen wouldn't pass the ball. We was worried about getting rid of Kudus. I couldn't wait to get rid of Kudus. He just used to run and run and run, wouldn't pass the ball, wouldn't celebrate with nobody, and good riddance, he can't even get in the Spurs team. And then we've brought in Nuno, right? There was a picture someone sent me after the FA Cup. I don't know if we will talk about the FA Cup, but West Ham won on penalties. And I've got to say, the 5 penalties they took, Tatty's was straight, wasn't it? The others went in the top right-hand corner with the player. I cannot believe they was like, I call them prime Shearer, prime Harry Kane penalties. But the pictures after the game in the changing room, it was of a group all together. Just, do you know what I'm trying to say? Because this is going to lead us on to, I think, the problems what's going on with Spurs. I think if you can create an atmosphere within any club where the manager gets the players to buy in, in any form of life, I think they will buy into your ethos and they will try a lot more. I've always said in life that hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. Suddenly we're seeing a different Jared Bowen. I think Fernandes in the middle has been phenomenal. He's playing in different positions all the time. The 2 up front, they've brought, never heard of them, this Paulie and Tati. Suddenly they're running all over the place. But more than anything, I think West Ham have got a team spirit. Have you noticed that recently, Keith?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think also with Nuno, he's sort of dragged the fans back into the into that scenario. He's making the fans part and parcel of what's going on as well, which is, I think, it's a good show from him with regarding, like you say, his man management thing. He knows what's making players lift their morale and, because they probably felt the crowd on top of them a lot of times as well, which was fair enough. They was playing pretty poorly. But yeah, I definitely think he's brought the team together. And
you, Robbie, what do you think with the team morale? Can Notts a group? Let's face it. Really, before this run West Ham's gone on, how many teams in the Premier League would have ever took any of these West Ham players? Probably, they would have asked for Bowen. Do you think he's created a great morale there, and he's got an average group of players suddenly playing really good football?
Well, the most important thing is, as a manager, he's got them working. He's got them grafting. He's clearly doing something right because you've gone from. I know a few months ago when we spoke, I thought you were doomed. And I said the only player that I thought was any good was Bowen. But whatever he's doing behind the scenes, he's creating something. Because be realistic, you and Keith wouldn't have expected anything out of the game yesterday, let alone to score and get a point. If that before the game, in all honesty, you'd be thinking, and most of them fans probably think we're going to get smashed to bits. So, especially after that midweek game. So, whatever he's doing, and he's done it at other clubs. He did it at Wolves, didn't he? He didn't do it at some other small club, but he did it at Forest. So, I don't think he's pretending to be like an Ancelotti style of football or anything, but he's doing his job and he's getting them working. So, that has to help. A point yesterday, they have to go in that changing room afterwards and celebrate like it was a win, given the circumstances. And he's got
I agree. I mean, Charlie, you had problems with the splits in the changing room at Man United, and Mourinho said he asked them to get rid of 3 players because he thought they was some of the ringleaders that was causing him problems. Do you think the team spirit at Man United is suddenly become better under Michael Carrick?
It definitely has. There definitely seems more of a togetherness and stuff. I mean, look, I think, the last 3 to 4 games, I don't think we've played well, performance-wise. But you can definitely still tell, like, they're kind of more in it together. But then saying that, I've seen this before at Man United, where it kind of looks like the players have almost come together, and then new manager comes in, and then 12 months' time, we're saying the same thing. I think with West Ham, I think what I'd say with Nuno is when he first came in, the performances still weren't there in his first few games, and you kind of looked like West Ham were dead and buried. I think the one good thing I would say, you're hard to play against now. You're hard to break down, and I think he's done a lot of work defensively, which I think helps the team massively. And I think again, togetherness. Once you get that team spirit and a bit of morale and a few wins, it can do wonders.
I agree.
Can I just say that I think as well that, I don't know if this is actually true, but it looks like to me that Nuno, it took him a fair while to get things, and he did make some mistakes, some managerial mistakes with tactics. Whether he's the man for the man management and whether his assistant, which I can't remember what his name is, whether he's perhaps a bit more clued up when it comes to the tactics. And a lot of these clubs probably, having this sort of 2-man setup type thing, that you've got someone that can deal with the players really well and someone that can deal with the tactics. Because since he turned up, I think our game's improved.
Yeah, his name's called Paco, Keith. What happened was when Nuno come in, because we've had a bit of a, what seems to be, I think Barrow have had their 6th manager this year. They sacked their manager. The 6th manager, it could happen at Spurs, And but when he come in, when Nuno signed, a bit like what happened with, because they paid for Lopetegui's backroom staff to come in, and then they paid for Potter to bring his back. They went, you can have the manager's job, but you're not bringing in your backroom staff. Of course, like you said, this Paco, he's suddenly, you can see him going up to Nuno during the game when he's making subs and going, no, do this. And I think you're right. It has changed it around. Will they survive? It will be one of the greatest. I think it'll be better. I think this escape will be the best one ever, Keith, because personally, I think the 2002 team had fantastic players with Cole, Carrick, Defoe, loads of good players, but I think they was a better bunch. And I don't think this squad of players are as good as the 2007 season with the Tevez problems we had and the 2002-3 systems. I think it will be an absolute miracle if they survive.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Now, guys, the second thing we're going to go on to, right, in any form of life, no matter what you do, Robbie runs an English school, Charlie's in charge of some people where he works, You've got to you've got to know when to put an arm around someone, or sometimes you've got to know when to give them the read. My first ever job at Sainsbury's, my old governor, Den, he had this way of pulling you in, but he'd come in, mate, and I was a wrong, and, how I never lost my job there, I don't know, but he saved my job, right? And he had this way, and when you was wrong, but he would, at the end of it, he would always say, look, you're a young man. Blah, 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 blah. I sent me bloody head alight once and should have got sacked and didn't. Say, thankfully, though, I don't have to shave anymore. And then when I went to the driving, there was a guy called Alan Gillett, right? Sadly, I know with someone. He was black and white, right? there was no in the middle. If you was right, you was right. If you was wrong, you was, which I love. I love that in someone. I watched the Spurs game in the week, right? And Robbie, you can go next because I know you love all this. They put in, for whatever reason, they dropped Vicario, right? And who's not a great keeper. They brought in this young lad called Kinski, who, believe it or not, about just at the end of the transfer window, there was going to be a swap between West Ham with a Madsen and Kinski. It didn't happen. Now, he come in, I think they paid 15 million for him from Sparta Prague. You put him in there. Now, the goalkeeper for me, you need to get consistency with your goalkeeper and your back four. So you know when they're going to drop, when they're going to push, who you trust to roll the ball out to, who you think can control the ball. But if you're going to put someone in, you've got to, in training, get them with it. This is how we're playing. This is your call when you're coming for the ball. Everything else. He took him off after 15 minutes, right, in a game. He slipped for the first goal. Wasn't really his fault. The second one, he got caught playing the ball out, which God knows how many keepers do. And I think for that lad, he walked off. He didn't even put his arm around him and gone, look, we're playing a top European side here. Mate, I don't want us to lose 6-7-0. You know what I mean? Let me take you off. I'll get you back on for some league games, but I'm going to put Vicario on. He totally ignored him. He didn't go and shake his hand. He didn't say unlucky. He did nothing. And just like happened with that keeper for Liverpool years ago, what was his name, Charlie, the blonde lad?
Karius.
Karius, right? It ruined him. First thing first, Robbie, do you think it was right for him to put him in the game in the first place? And do you think it was wrong to take him off? And has it been the worst bit of man management skills you've ever seen on a football pitch, Robbie?
For the first thing, it's a clueless decision. You're playing away, right, to Atletico Madrid, right? And they're not an easy team to beat on their own patch anyway. You're going to struggle. And you've thrown basically a kid in. You're putting him under pressure from the beginning. And I would imagine that Atletico have gone out and thought, you know what, we'll have a go at this straight away. And they got a bit of luck. Yeah, he's made a mistake. I think it's absolutely terrible man management. And then taking him off, he could have waited till half time and then said he had an injury or something, because he's either destroyed his career or definitely his career there. And that kid's now got to go somewhere else to try his confidence. He'll be scared to pick the ball up. I think it's terrible man management. And I think it shows it's either, I don't know if it's arrogance or ignorance, but the guy that they've got there, I mean, I think he's doing an amazing job overall, but he's absolutely clueless. I mean, I couldn't have picked someone better.
Charlie, take over before Robbie carries on. Look at you got Charlie going now.
I think, yeah, look, unless they had really bad injury problems, I don't see why you would put a goalkeeper in making his Champions League debut in a knockout stage. The terrible state that team are in, right? And he's gone, and I do not understand that decision absolutely at all. I mean, look, it will go down as one of the worst Champions League debuts of all time. And the thing is, like, I was kind of voice noting my stepson like about it, and then my missus was like, what's going on? And when I explained it to her, I had to burst out laughing because I was like, it's like something from a movie, and like it was so mental. I do feel bad for him. I kind of get why he took him off, just to get him out of that firing line. But I mean, they panned to the crowd at one point, and the Atletico fans were laughing their heads off and everything. But I do feel sorry for the guy. It's definitely going to knock his confidence. And you can't even say, because of the position Tottenham are in, you can't even say, towards the end of the season, just put him in again, like in another game, like if there was a dead rubber game at the end of the season, just put him in, because the position they're in, he can't do that now. And the defence are not going to trust him. The fans ain't. And I do really feel sorry for him, despite how funny it was.
Right, Keith.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't really know why he was put in, to be honest, because the rest of the team are the ones that are performing badly. So why they would shove in someone so, inexperienced is just beyond me. And like you say, the man management side of it, Yeah, I don't know. A lot of these managers, they're sort of involved in like a tense like situation all the time that they probably don't see that side of things, which is a bit sad, really. I mean, that's the way that football's gone. But I think that it's man management's probably one of the key aspects of well, managing, obviously. But it seems there's a lot of managers, all they want to do is try and I don't know, throw kids in as soon as they've got a chance, I suppose.
I agree. Now, look, when we did our breathing exercises, when Keith and I were in this men's health group, at the end of this men's health group, we're half meditating, we're half breathing. This guy, like James, I always say, if you had someone at school when you left, he's going, you are unique. There's only one of you. There'll only ever be one of you. So be the best you. And you give them, you finish that, and you actually feel good about yourself, don't you, Keith? Because all the things you should be thinking about yourself, you don't. I do think the psychological side in football doesn't get taken into consideration. We had a goalkeeper years ago. He come in, never wore gloves, big lump, Mervyn Day, right? Was a real good goalkeeper. And all of a sudden we played Everton. And he had this habit of standing on the end of the edge of the penalty area. And they started off, they give a ball to a guy called Ronnie Goodlass at Everton player, and he hit it from inside his own, and it went over Mervyn Day's goal, and it went in his head. He completely changed the way he was about the game and how he used to be as a keeper. A bit like what happened with Rob Green. When he let that go in for England, he was never, ever the same goalkeeper again. His confidence had gone and smashed. I think Mervyn Day, that the fans used to sing to him, Mervyn on your line. And he'd turn around and start having it with the fans, And years later, I went to see a mate of mine. His wife used to cut my hair. His name was Johnny Cartwright. He was the England youth. He started off as the Arsenal youth trainer. Then he went as the England youth. And his wife was cutting my hair. And he went, I'm going to look at a couple of Chelsea lads, young Chelsea lads. They was playing Orient. He went, do you want to come over? So I went, yeah, if you want. And I went. And at the time, Mervyn Day was in goal for Orient and Stan Bowles was playing. And the Chelsea fans started singing to Stan Bowles, where's your handbag? Where's your handbag? Where's your handbag, Stanley Bowles? And then they went, Mervyn's got it. Mervyn's got it. And he went mad and he couldn't take it. It totally ruined him as a player. I think that revolving doors, whatever we want to call him, he should have been gone the next day. I mean, Robbie wants him to stay there to the end of the season. I don't know. Personally, I think it was a despicable thing to do. He shouldn't have put him in the first place, but no way he should have loved him off. You look at a player who gets subbed on, the worst thing the players hate is when they get subbed on and then they get subbed off, don't they? Even if it is for the better of the team. Like, people don't like it. People want to play football. So for me, it was wrong. Right, why we was talking about the Champions League. Now, the 6 clubs we've got left in it, none of them did very well. Do you think, Charlie, that in the return legs, the 6 Premier League clubs could all get knocked out?
I'm not going to mention them because it's going to set me off, but the team that played against Atletico Madrid, no. I think they're dead and buried.
Bad influence on Charlie, you are, Robbie.
City, I just look at City and I don't see a team that turns around a 3-0 deficit against Real Madrid. That again, I just don't see it. Newcastle, it'd be it'd be a historical result if they went to the Nou Camp and beat Barcelona. I think they'd have a tough time. Arsenal will beat Leverkusen. They'll get a couple of corners or something. Liverpool, they only lost 1-0, didn't they? So, look, Champions League nights at Anfield are normally quite good, isn't they? The crowd would be up for it. I think a couple of them would go through. I think it won't. That wouldn't surprise me if none of them went through.
Robbie?
Well, I don't know. Our game, the 75 minutes, was a cracking game. And then he made a couple of substitutions, which didn't make sense. And the goalkeeper made a mistake. And then they collapsed. So I don't see... Chelsea might get a result against PSG, but I don't see us knocking them out. I can't see us winning by 3 goals. We can't keep a clean sheet. City, I think, are in trouble with that. I think Madrid or a team, no matter what's going on, they know how to play in the cup and they know how to win this trophy. The Tudor reign is going to be even better, but we're getting anything out of that. And the atmosphere will be hostile, which plays for Atletico because the fans have already got, they've got the ump. Liverpool, I don't know. I didn't watch it. Newcastle, I can't see them getting a result away to UEFA Lona, to be honest.
Keith B?
Yeah, I agree with Charlie, really. I think that, Arsenal and Liverpool, I think, are capable of bringing it back because they've done it before. But and I still think Chelsea is in a little bit of a chance, but realistically, I think Chelsea and Newcastle are not going to progress. I think Arsenal and Liverpool will be the two that progress. Just those two, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I agree. I'm going to have a bet. Charlie, look it up later. How much is it for the 6 clubs to go at? And I'm going to have a couple of quid on it. And I think that's it. Now, what would it be like, right, if this year all the super teams in this Super League who they think they are, who want to break away, what would happen if Bodo Glimt go on to win it? None of us thought they would be where they are, right? They're from Norway, small team from Norway. Now, I ain't got a clue. So over to you. Charlie, tell us a bit about Bodo Glimt.
Yeah, like you say, not from Norway. Look, they got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, Europa League, last year, where they ended up getting knocked out by Tottenham. The thing is, when you look at their results this year, it's not like they've been some surprise package in the Champions League. They only won 2 games in that league format. They finished 23rd out of the 24 teams that could qualify. What actually saved them was the fact that every game it was quite a high goal scoring game. They would always score. And, their last 2 games, they ended up beating Man City 3-1 and then Atletico Madrid 2-1. It's more surprising how they've played in the knockout stages. I mean, they easily took apart Inter Milan. And, they should really knock out Sporting. It's going to take a monumental effort from Sporting. They've done really well in the knockouts. But I think, look, we've spoke about the league format before. Anyone who's in favour of this new Champions League format, Bodo Glimt are they're going to say, look, this is why we do it. Because a team that only won 2 league games has qualified, and look what they've done in the knockout stages. And fair play to them.
Robbie, would you like to see them win it if Chelsea don't?
Oh, if it weren't us, then yeah. But I think as well that they've got something. Their home stadium makes a big difference to them as well. And I think, good luck to a team like that. I think we played them a couple of years ago in the conference thing as well. I think it's great to see it. I just see further down the line, you look at it from UEFA's point of view, they're going to be looking at UEFA Lona, Madrid, and people who want the money and the sponsorship. They're not so, let's say trendy. But I think good luck to them. And if they're ruffling a few feathers, good.
Yeah, I agree, Keith. Come on, would it be a fairy tale if they win it? I'll tell you what, though, Keith, if they get to the semis, Mr. VAR won't be doing them any favours. I'll tell you.
No, I think it would be nice just to see them sort of, it's a bit like Greece winning the European Championship at times. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's sort of you need to be a team, don't you? You don't have to be full of superstars or anything. But strangely enough, although I think it must have been well before the Champions League format now, someone asked me about Red Star Belgrade. They won the European Cup in 92 or something like that, which I think was well before that. But it's nice to see these clubs sort of, it makes you feel as if it's worth watching. For me, it is anyway, because you get so bored of the same, last 4 sort of thing being in it.
No, I agree. I think it's fantastic, Keith. And I'll tell you what, it would be absolutely amazing. The money these Galactians spent. I think that's where Liverpool went wrong. Liverpool did a Madrid and went out, instead of bringing 2 good players in that fit in, they kept Salah. I think Salah should have gone when he wrote that letter slagging off the club. But they went out and bought loads and loads of superstars. And like we said it about West Ham, sometimes certain players don't fit. Now, boys, after West Ham, I bumped into a Man United fan in a week, and it wasn't just a knock of about Arsenal. But he said a couple of years ago, when they was playing the free-flowing football and passing the ball around, he said if Man United weren't playing, he liked watching Arsenal. He said he really enjoyed the game. Now, we had a young lad on, George, a few weeks back, and he said to us, I could not care less that everyone's getting the ump, we're scoring goals on corners and throw-ins. This bloke said to me, they are so boring. He said they will be the most boringest club to win the league. He says, and I can't watch them play anymore. He said, because they've got good players. Suddenly, they've just gone defensive, and they're just open for throws and corners all the time. Now, Robbie off air said he thinks they're going to, someone will suss it out, Robbie and Charlie earlier on. Do you agree, Robbie? And do you really think now that for Man City, they think it all over? But it is now, isn't it?
I think it is. I think that writing's been on the wall for a while. I think Arsenal will get over the line because they don't let a lot of goals in. It is ugly to watch, but an Arsenal fan's not going to agree with that because they're going to pick up a trophy that they haven't won for 20, whatever it is, 23 years or whatever. So they're not going to care. The thing for me with that is what they do after it. Because if he continues next year in the same style, I think they'll start coming unstuck. And then I think that's where their problem would be. And it's because you create a mindset of players just being negative, playing for that corner. But when that stops, what do? It's like it's coached out of them. It is negative. It is boring. Arsenal fans won't agree. Obviously, you had Kev on there the other week, Ditcher. They're not going to care when they're lifting up the trophy. I'm just hoping.
No, I agree. Charlie, do you think the same?
Yeah, look, I mean, look, I'll go defend Arsenal a little bit here. When they first kind of had that title charge, like 3 to 4 years ago, they was playing some great football. And no, everyone said they lost the league because they weren't cautious enough. They went for it too much. They weren't defensive. They this and that. And all right, look, they have gone that way. I don't think anyone expected them to just become like almost a set-piece team and kind of boring to watch. I mean, look, regardless of what you say about Arsenal, I always used to look forward to watching an Arsenal game because it was always kind of, you always never knew what was going to happen in a way. So I'll stick up for them in that sense where they've done what they've needed to do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you can only beat what's in front of you. Are they great to watch? No. Is this going to be like memorable in terms of teams that have won the league? No. But at the end of the day, they've won. Like they will win it. Absolutely. It's only a matter of time now. So yeah, fair play.
Keith, you agree?
Yeah, I think they will win it for definite. But I think because we went through the Man City thing, didn't we, with Pep, where his football got boring. And like I've got one of my cousins, he's a Chelsea ticket holder, season ticket holder, and I remember him during like when Abramovich was there, Mourinho, like he said that Chelsea got boring to watch as well, which like I can't comment on that. And even Arsenal, I haven't watched them that much this season. But I think sometimes to progress, it has got to be boring, and it's a nice change that Arsenal are in that position instead of Man City. And strangely enough, I think Liverpool were the only team that, to me, that has won it over the past years that have been watchable, if you get what I mean, when it comes to sort of a style of football or whatever. But I think it's a success thing. Like you say, there's a lot of fans from Arsenal will disagree. They think it's, okay to watch because trophies are coming.
Well, I agree. I think he's brought people in, Keith, and he's brought the wrong people in. I mean, supposedly we're still 120 charges outstanding. We've all said we don't think they'll ever. Do you know, Robbie, what I'm going to do? I'm going to laugh my head off if City do get that 70-point deduction and they say Spurs, because that will totally ruin your year. It will totally ruin your year. But I do believe deep down, I just don't like the look of Pep Guardiola. Last season, he was scratching his head and doing this to himself, and he was like almost self-harming. And when he was talking after the game yesterday, his eyes was like that, and he was giving it this and that. There's something wrong with him, and deep down, I think he should go. I do think City have blown it, but I don't think they're good enough. I think as a squad, I think Arsenal have got the best squad. I backed Chelsea at the beginning of the season to win the title. Unfortunately, Robbie, I don't think you've got the best defence, and you certainly haven't got a classy goalkeeper.
I think I'd be better in goal, and my knees are busted when I walk. They do. You think about that and the money that they've spent and that, but there's not a real team. There are a lot of players, The defence isn't up to it, and instead of signing a central defender when Colwell got injured, they bought Garnacho and Gittins, which for me were pointless signings when we needed a keeper and a centre half. And you've got to look at it, even with Arsenal, if you want to win a league title, you need to have a decent keeper. That's one of the first players you need. And when you look at teams that have won it, even Arsenal this year, Chelsea with Petr Cech, United particularly with Schmeichel, Van der Sar, these are the players that are going to help you win titles because it's a fine margin with mistakes and they don't make them, or they don't make many. I could ask Charlie how many mistakes you watch Schmeichel make, probably count them on his hand. So I do think it makes a massive difference. So that's where Chelsea have gone wrong with that. And still seems to me a lot of clubs as well, including one I don't like, there's a hell of a lot of injuries. I don't know if it's all the games we've spoken before, but there are a lot of injuries in a lot of clubs. And therefore, in my opinion, a lot of teams are completely inconsistent.
I just want to go back a minute, Robbie, while we're talking about keepers. I remember Charlie told me a few years ago that when Diego Forlan was playing, he was warming up and Ferguson said, when you've got the wrong studs on, it's wet, the pitch, put bigger studs on. He went, no. He went out, fell arse over X amount of times. He went off the pitch, put big studs. He never played with Man United again. Do you know, did you watch, when we was watching, sorry, I forgot about it, just come back, when we was watching that Spurs game the other night, and it weren't just him slipping, it was the Spurs players slipping. Surely when they was warming up, they knew whether they had to wear bigger studs or smaller studs or just differently. I don't understand when you're in the warm-up, why you can't work out what boots you got to wear. Charlie, that was right about Forlan, wasn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, like when you go into a sports shop, you go and look at the football boots. Not a lot of them are studs. They're the blades. Yeah. You very rarely get football boots these days where you can change the studs. Remember you used to unscrew them, couldn't you, and screw the other ones in. You look at football boots now, especially the ones that are like a couple of £100 and stuff. They don't have that. They're all shaped into the boot. Like you say, during warm up, they surely would have known. All right, game situation's a bit different, but I think sometimes it's the boot, and if you can't change the studs, then what can you do?
No, I agree on that. But when they was warming up, Keith, do you not think when they was warming up, they should have all realised, surely they bring spare boots? I don't know. You have a boot man, you have a kit man, don't you? Surely they bring different. Robbie's trying not to laugh still, because him and Charlie are on one today. Do you not think, Keith, like Ferguson said to Forlan all them years when they was warming up, right? Maybe like Charlie says, surely they've got to have studs that change for games.
Yeah, I would have thought so. As I said, it's been a long time since I played football. So, Charlie was mentioning about the screw-on studs thing, and it has all changed. But yeah, I would have thought they would have had to. It's like the watering of the pitch and all that as well. I'm assuming that is done as well to cut down injuries on the pitch, the watering of the grass as well, because it never used to be as sort of predominant as it is now as such. So I don't know how much, whether you can overwater it, but yeah, when they're on the pitch training beforehand, you'd think they'd notice it.
But Robbie, I don't know if I watch different things when I watch football because we do this show and so many people send me. The grass was I thought was extremely long. When I see how high the grass was compared to the ball, Ferguson years ago would speak to the groundsman. If he had a free-flowing team, he would want the grass a bit higher so that the ball wouldn't travel so far. He'd tell him when he wanted watered, when he didn't want it watered to suit their players. Now, I understand that when you're playing your own games, that happens. But Robbie, you have to have spare boots in this day and age, sure.
I thought everyone did. They've got spare shirts and I don't know. I think were they going out in their trainers or plimsolls or something? But they must have a spare set because as well they break easily. You see them a lot. I'm hoping there was a guy yesterday. I can't remember what team it was. He got sent off for throwing the guy's boot away when it came off. Okay. And you wonder if he ever found it or not. But they must have a spare set. But when they were warming up, how does a coach? So you mentioned Ferguson, who obviously was observant. How does a coach, not even the manager, but a coach, not say, "Hey guys, you're slipping," and the players must feel it. You know yourself. I mean, I live in a country that has a serious winter and it's just ended. But for the last 3-4 months, I haven't been able to wear normal trainers outside because I'll go arse over tear. So they must have known. I don't know, it just adds to the comedy effect, I guess.
Yeah, it don't make no sense to me. It really don't. Now, Keith, what do you go and watch football in Australia, and what's the level like where you are?
I have done. Our local team, Brisbane Roar, used to be where old Ange come from. Like, he done really well when he was there, and they was getting crowds of like 30,000 and won their championship a couple of times. It was really a little bit before I was sort of getting into it, because it's still about 60 miles for me to travel to get into Brisbane to watch Brisbane Roar. And the quality of the football now that he's gone, they're getting crowds of like 6,000, but the quality of football is still probably League One at best, really. So, which is a bit of a shame, really, but the grassroots isn't really there in Australia at the moment. It is switching like that. Everyone's mad on rugby league over here. It is their main sport. You know, you got cricket as well, and obviously Australian rules. But yeah, football or soccer, as they call it over here, is sort of behind the times as such. But there's more and more youngsters that are playing more often now. There's a lot of youngsters leagues, and even like my son-in-law, he plays for a like a 30 to 35-year-old league, but most of them are full of Europeans, South Americans, and the English. Like the Aussies haven't really taken off so much, like the older generations anyway. So, but I'll go and watch it. I don't, as I say, because it's a fair old distance, I don't tend to travel into Brisbane so much. But
yeah, you had a few good players a few years ago, didn't he? Baduka was a great striker,
Yeah.
weren't he? Harry Kewell was probably one of the best. You had the goalkeeper. Robbie, how would you compare the football? You went to a game last week in Poland, didn't you?
Yeah, I went with my mate, and I'm going to try and get him on. So if he's listening or watching this, I'm
Hope
going
you can speak English, Robbie.
Yeah, no, I'll translate. No, he does, obviously. No, I'm going to meet him later, and I'm trying to get him on to explain how the league and stuff works here. But we went, and it was a 12 o'clock kickoff, or 12:15 kickoff. It's about an hour from us. Nice little stadium, probably holds about 18,000. And the atmosphere is fantastic. They don't stop all game, both sets of fans. But there's a couple of things I wanted to bring up. One, I mean, the away team had about a 6-hour journey. And during the game, I could hear them shouting something about thank you. And I asked my mate, and he said they were actually banned from visiting the stadium. But the home fans organised, I don't know, it must have been about 1,000 tickets for them. Right? And I asked Charlie last week, would an English club ever do that? Of course they wouldn't. You would take complete advantage. And it was a lot of respect fan to fan, even though they're rivals. The game wasn't particularly good. The level is championship at best. But they're not the top teams. But it's still nice to go to a live football. The stadium was well run. It was quite nice in there. And there's a lot of noise. They don't stop, the fans. I'll give them that. I didn't see a lot of people with phones out trying to video the game and stuff. So it was nice to go. But I'm going to ask my mate later if I can get him on and try and explain how the Polish league works for us.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, I looked at the championship yesterday, talk about the championship, and literally all the ones at the top had a bad day, Charlie, didn't they?
They did. I mean, Coventry, it's kind of slightly gave Southampton a chance to reach the playoffs. But yeah, Hull, I mean, West Brom beating Hull. I know Hull went down to 10 men, but West Brom are fighting relegation. They really needed that. Blackburn really needed that win against Millwall, which you were surprised against. So yeah, it was definitely a weekend for the teams at the bottom.
Yeah, I agree. I looked at the Orient one. You know, Charlie's got a place in our heart. Charlie's granddad and Charlie's great-great-granddad were massive Orient fans. We used to go and watch them. But also, one I didn't want to lose was Hearts. Hearts lost yesterday in the Scottish Prem, and it narrowed the gap down now to 2 points.
Yeah.
Would have been nice for them to win, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Long time. Yeah, still games to play.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I want to finish on fans, boys. Like Keith mentioned that the West Ham fans have suddenly took on board because West Ham have started doing well. There's a West Ham channel I follow called West Ham Voice, a guy called Steele, and I message him, and he goes to all the away games, all the home game. If you hear the West Ham away fans, they get 3,000 tickets, right? I don't know if you know in the Prem, clubs can't charge more than £30 for if you go like West Ham to go to Liverpool, it's 30 quid. Man United is 30. It's just £30 an away game. But they get these 3,000 go, predominantly sort of, I'd say, middle-aged men, lots of women as well. And they make a real good noise. Now, and when they go to the stadium, I've said to this still, the fans can't keep moaning that West Ham have got tourists in the ground. It's down to the home fans. If there is 20,000 tourists, there's still 40,000 fans, West Ham fans. So it's down to the fans to make the noise for the team. And I think the West Ham home fans have got something to think about. They're not going to like it. Yeah, that they're still giving out these red cards. I won't say what it says, but basically they want Brady and Sullivan out. But I think first thing you should always do is support the team and not the regime. And when you go over there, like we spoke to a Leeds guy a couple of weeks ago, and when Leeds were losing fans, he said when Bielsa went in there, he made the Leeds players go out on the street for a couple of days, pick up rubbish. They was road sweeping. And he said to the Leeds players, listen, this is what your fans are doing every day of the week. They're doing this work in 8, 9, 10 hours a day so they can buy a ticket to come and watch you. So give them something back. And that's when it turned round and loads more fans go. So I think before fans start moaning about everything else, they need to take a good look at themselves. Do you agree, Charlie? I mean, Man United fans have never really turned on the team, have they?
I mean, look, everyone kind of, have always made the jokes about Old Trafford and how quiet it is and stuff, but no one ever says bad things about the Man United away fans because they don't stop singing from the first minute to the last. So I think a lot of the away sections are like that. But again, I mean, look, Old Trafford, we had to lobby to get like a singing section because if someone started standing up and singing, they'd get like a steward to come along and say, look, you do that again, we're going to throw you out. So, fans have wanted to create atmospheres before, but the clubs themselves have kind of stopped them doing it. There's a massive disconnect between fans and clubs these days. There is, especially like the top clubs. And, it's all well and good having these fancy stadiums. All right, I think West Ham, you've got a problem with how your stadium's set up in terms of your atmosphere. But, yeah, there's a massive disconnect between the clubs, the people that run the clubs and the actual fans themselves.
I agree. Robbie?
Yeah, I completely agree with Charlie there. There is a massive disconnect with it. I mean, I watched, a game last week. Guys had a 6-hour journey, did not stop. It's a cultural thing as well. That they were all wearing the same shirts, basically. And I've been to Legia Warszawa before, and they've got to stand behind their goal. I wouldn't go in there because it's definitely not for tourists. Anyone that goes in that bit has to make noise. Right, for the whole game. The passion's there. I don't think the fans, even us included, you don't lose the passion for that shouting or the singing and the songs and that. You just don't hear Chelsea Arsenal the other week. You could hear a pin drop. It's a London derby. So there is this disconnect with where people are sitting or how they want to be, getting chastised for singing. I mean, come on, it's part of it. I get the abuse part that you want to block it out and stuff, which unfortunately we still get. But the atmosphere, I think players respond to it. I think.
I agree. Keith, what do you think? What's been going on at West Ham? If I was to go, Keith, even if there was a demo before you answer, right, I wouldn't go to the demonstration. I would go to watch my team, especially if I was taking my grandchildren. I'd want to go there just to watch the team. Yeah, I agree. There does need a regime change at West Ham. And if they go down, West Ham will go down with a massive deficit. It's been said that 3 of the directors, Kaczynski, Sullivan and Tripp Smith, are going to put in 35 million each. So it takes away that deficit. Saying one thing and doing it is a different thing. But first of all, would you think, you worried about the board, or do you just like me? You just like supporting the team and not be bothered about the regime, Keith?
Yeah, obviously I'm worried about the club itself, but yeah, I mean the team comes first. But I do feel that, like, since we've gone to the London Stadium, you know, even seating positions. I'm only saying this from what I've read, you know, where that they've split sort of some of them. They've built that apparent wall between the away and the home supporters and taken away that sort of banter that you get. Because I feel like, you know, I used to travel away with West Ham. I feel that when you travel away, you sort of want to know, or you want to show who you are. Whereas, you know, when you're at home, you haven't got that emphasis. People are coming to your home as such. But, you know, the first standing disappeared. And then, as I say, when we moved, it was a case of getting the seats in different positions. And not everybody wants to sing, you know. And then, like, my big bugbear is, like, I couldn't believe that they sold popcorn at football matches now. It's just become pathetic.
Get ready, Keith. 11 owners now are American. The magic figure is 14 before they can change rules in the Premier League. Guys, it's been amazing again. I think football, since Sky took over, has changed. I think that clubs will start streaming themselves. Football fans, as we knew it, and we call the legacy fans, or I always speak with Stu, we're old timers now, right? And they don't want us. You are no longer, to the club, you're no longer a football fan. You are a client. And when you're there, they want you to spend money in the shop. They want you to spend money downstairs, pay overpriced for a burger and a beer. You're not a football fan. And people think, you know, if you boycott a seat, that they're going to sell it. As a business, if you've got a chance to make another 50 quid, hypothetically, you are going to sell that seat. Because football isn't the man's game anymore. It's not the working man's game. It's changed. And there's so much money to be made. And I go on and on and on about these American owners. But when I get a chance, we will do how much money American football makes with literally a sixth of the viewers that it gets in the Premier League. So Keith, how are you? I know we met in a men's health group. How are you recently before we finish? You well?
Yeah, I'm good. I went for a sort of a shitty last 6 months with my legs and whatnot. But I'm getting back there, you know. And it is like with the mental health sort of thing. It's the dips that put you down, and fortunately enough I've started getting physical. I can still use my legs pretty well, so it's lifted me mentally. So yeah,
excellent. Well, gentlemen, it's been an amazing day yet again. Our 30-minute chat has gone to 52 minutes. We say it all the time, guys. It's just a game of two halves. We're trying to build this slow. We're not looking at anything. It's just a group of lads having a chat. Please like and subscribe, and please share, please. Keith and I met in a men's mental health group, you know, as a young lady got married yesterday. And sadly, her dad, he couldn't be there because he couldn't talk to no one, you know. And men's mental health is really, really high. So if you are ever depressed or got any problems, get in touch with us. We can put you in touch. It goes from there. Right, boys, I'd like to say thank you. Next week, we've got a Millwall fan on, Keith. So hopefully there won't be no punch-ups. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Cheers, lads. Have a good one.
Yeah.